What the hell? When was this video uploaded? Oh my fucking... It must have been that loser DUBU17 who made it after people disliked the Complete Unknown review. God, that guy was a fucking mess. Anyways, I'm gonna be taking over now. 17's just taking a little bit of a break. As a Korean, Bong Joon Ho is someone I look up to. His films are a huge part of Korea's film culture, especially with Parasite, as it introduced the country's media to the American masses, especially with its historic night at the Oscars. Over the next couple of years, Korean cinema flourished in the US with films like Burning, Decision to Leave, and especially the TV show Squid Game, just to name a few. Parasite essentially started this revolution and brought attention to so many other Korean directors who deserve the same recognition. Following the success, all eyes were on Bong's next project. This time around, it was gonna be an adaptation of Edward Ashton's novel Mickey 7, starring Robert Pattinson. Naturally, this raised some eyebrows for those unaware of his work. An English film made by a Korean director? Clearly, this guy's way out of his depth, and to those naysayers we say, fuck you, and to the supporters we say,
thank you. I will drink until next morning. Thank you.
My goat is no stranger to the English language, making 2 films before this one, Snowpiercer and Okja. The thing about these 2 films is they're completely different in their tone compared to his Korean films. Whereas his Korean work feels like serious films with comedic elements, his English work feels like comedy films with serious elements. Even a film like Snowpiercer feels very campy compared to something like The Host. There's a certain cheesiness and ridiculousness in his English work that is a lot of fun to watch. Going into Mickey 17, I was expecting that difference and was looking forward to watching a campy, fun film, and thankfully, that's exactly what I got. While the performances in Okja hindered my enjoyment, the performances here really elevate this film's entertainment to the utmost level. Robert Pattinson is obviously the clear standout. He's come a long way from his Twilight days, cementing himself as one of the best actors working today. The versatility he's been showing with his roles in The Lighthouse, Good Time, and now Mickey 17 has been such a joy to watch, and I always look forward to his performances. The distinction between Mickey 17 and 18 is so awesome to watch and reminds me a lot of Denis Villeneuve's Enemy. I've been loving the different memes on the internet about these 2 goobers. Shout out to these 2 in particular. I just love how the 2 Mickeys are essentially the angels and devils on people's shoulders. That juxtaposition is so much fun to watch. 17 is just the sweetheart and the most peaceful guy ever, while 18 is the most bloodthirsty, murderous guy around. Whenever an actor can play these kinds of roles so effortlessly, it always lets me know, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. Jake Gyllenhaal walked so Robert Pattinson could run. The surprising thing is, this wasn't my favorite performance. Rather, it was Mark Ruffalo. It honestly feels like this role was built just for him. While I was never really a big fan of his work in the MCU, his latest roles have been pretty fantastic. Playing Duncan Wedderburn in Poor Things kind of primed him to play Kenneth Marshall, just this goofy, phony politician. The parallels with real-life political figures add to that hilarity, but in reality, it's kind of terrifying. I can't deny that this film made me even more worried about my country's future. His overall dishonesties and unnaturalness feel so familiar and, to a certain extent, realistic. Now, a lot of people have made the comparison of Trump, but as Bong Joon Ho said, Marshall is a mix of several politicians. I'm not knowledgeable in politics, so I can't name any that remind me of him other than Trump, so I don't want to stay on this for too long, but them shiny veneers and the way he talks just feels like him. Also, don't want to spoil it, but one aspect of Marshall reminds me a lot of Mr. Elon Musk, specifically a certain fetish. The other actors are very well cast and fit their roles. Naomi Ackie was awesome. I really loved the enthusiasm she brought to the film. Steven Yeun, my boy, is great as always, playing this slimy snake who's really a major pussy. Toni Collette is lost in the sauce with this performance, acting as the perfect partner for Ruffalo. Quick shout out also to my boy, the Pigeon Man. One of the many things I appreciate from Bong Joon Ho is his clear vision in his films. No matter what project he's working on, he knows exactly what he wants to achieve. With Mickey 17, it feels like a combination of Snowpiercer and Okja thematically. Like many of his other films, this film criticizes the top 1% in society, as the events of the film are caused by a failed political campaign. While Mickey doesn't really care for Marshall, a lot of the people boarding the ship are fanatics, commenting on that cult mentality. Environmentalism is yet another topic of discussion, revolving around the central creepers. Nothing too special here, just the eradication of yet another animal species for our own benefit. Lastly, the most important one is obviously death. The moral ambiguity of us sacrificing human life for the greater good is a fascinating debate, whether it's ethical to test on people to study diseases and develop vaccines. While it may be beneficial for the good of mankind, is it really right to give up a life like that? The part of the film that got me the most, however, was the romance. Love isn't something that Bong Joon Ho normally explores. Other kinda goes into it a little, but it's familial and not romantic, obviously. So this is really the first time he's directed one, and he passes pretty flawlessly. That central relationship between Mickey and Nasha is honestly beautiful. While other characters view him as a lab rat, she sees him as him. For a character who lives life differently every single time, their love for one another is the one constant. Through his pains and sufferings, through the many experiments, Nasha is the only one by his side. I honestly wish Bong Joon Ho made a romance film sooner because it's clear he knows how to make an amazing one. There are faults in this film, however. The narrative feels lacking in some sections. There were some plot points that I thought would be expanded upon, but were ultimately kind of forgotten or rushed. The epilogue in particular too feels a bit odd. I honestly don't know how else to describe it, it's just something you have to see for yourself. In Sean Baker's speech at the Oscars, he acknowledged the dying theater experience and urged people to go and support them. Mickey 17 is the kind of movie you watch in theaters. Mickey 17 is an unbelievable time, and I'd highly recommend you go watch it on the big screen with your friends or partner. Do your part and support films like this. Now I just gotta figure out how I can get these goddamn creeper plushes. Like, where do I get them, bro? Where?